The following is a brief presentation about the licensed professional counseling field. Our group individually researched topics, created interview questions, and put together this presentation on the following topics. Tara Burns did educational requirements, Shalyn Pent did professional history and development, Daniel Manzano, professional organizations, membership, and ethics, and I did the personal interview with an LPC. I'm going to go ahead and pass my screen on now to Tara Burns so she can share her information.
Thank you, Melissa. As Melissa mentioned, I am going to be going through the educational requirements of a licensed professional counselor, a clinical social work, a marriage and family counselor, and a clinical psychologist. Licensed professional counselor are defined as mental health professionals who help individuals with emotional and psychological problems and often have an area of specialty. Their educational requirements are that they must complete a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and they have licensure by their state with a passing score. They have to be CACREP recognition and accredited from a counseling program, and they must complete the NCC, which is the National Board of Certified Counselors. Clinical social workers are defined as individuals who work with underprivileged and family social systems, along with providing psychotherapy and counseling to family in a social system. The educational requirements for a clinical social worker are that they require a graduate degree in a related field, such as a master's in social work, and that they also have training and supervision to become certified by the Academy of Certified Social Workers. Marriage and family counselors are trained to work with couples that have family systems. Most have a specialty in family therapy, couples counseling, and family and life stages. The educational requirements for a marriage and family counselor is graduate level degree from a program that is CACREP accredited and follow the guidelines for marriage and family therapy. Clinical psychologist is a mental health professional who is trained to work in diagnosing and treating psychological, mental, emotional, or behavioral issues. The educational requirements for a clinical psychologist is that they must graduate it from an APA accredited doctoral program in clinical or counseling psychology. Melissa had the opportunity to interview with Cecile Marquez, who is an LPC in Colorado, on October 9th of 2017. I asked her about some educational requirements in her field. The first question was, what was your undergraduate study in? And she received her undergraduate in elementary education, and then she also has a master's degree in clinical mental health and added school counseling after. She is an LPC. The second question that we asked her was, where did you complete your master's or doctorate, and what state tests have you completed for your license in order to become an LPC? And she completed her degree in Colorado and had to take the National Counselor exam and the comp exam to become an LPC. The requirements in Colorado are that a master's degree or higher with 700 practicum hours. And then finally, I asked her what are her state requirements and where is she recognized to practice, and how does she keep her license active. She said that that she's licensed in Colorado. To earn her LPC, she had to complete 2,000 supervised hours in 2 or more years. I'm going to turn our presentation over to Shalyn, and she is going to go through the history.
Thanks, Tara. Okay, so I'm Shalyn, and I'm going to go over the history and development of the counseling field. Beginning in the 1800s all the way to 1943, we see that this time period basically included the recognition that vocational guidance was becoming a real need, along with the development of the study of psychology as a practice. And it's easy to see how the two developments eventually led to the field of counseling. Licensure legislation for psychologists and registration for social workers began in the 1940s, followed by counseling psychology actually being recognized, causing the APA Division 17 to actually change its name to counseling psychology. From 1963 to 1976, specializations were further developed in the counseling field, and regulations were also being made in the area of restrictions and licensures. In 1973, the first counselor licensure committee was established, and in 1976, Virginia became the first state to establish the LPC designation. As we saw the growth in the field of counseling, there were more organizations that were not only developed, but also combined together to make the need of each of their specialties. To meet the need of each of their specialties. At this time, certifications and laws concerning licensure was also a focus in the field. The 1990s gave us more than 41 states with counselor licensure laws and nonprofit organizations, and today we have LPC licensure laws in all 50 states. I also had the opportunity to ask Cecile some questions regarding the history of counseling and the development of the field. So the first question that I asked was, in doing some research into the field of counseling, I found that the practice had its roots in vocational guidance in response to the Industrial Revolution and social reform movement in the 1800s. I also found that in 1943, the American Psychological Association Division 17, which was counseling psychology, focused on vocational guidance. Among all of the reasons that an individual seeks counseling today, would you say that vocational guidance is still a concern? And what percentage of your clients are struggling with occupational issues? Her answer was, as far as a presenting issue, I would say never, because vocational guidance is handled more in the school system now. I've had a small number of clients touch on occupational career needs, but it's usually connected to job loss or related issues. As a secondary issue, I would say maybe 15 to 20%. My second question for her was, knowing that modern counseling is viewed to have begun with the need for vocational guidance during the Industrial Revolution, what ways does the technological growth that we have been experiencing in the last 25 years or so impact the human condition that could lead an individual to seek counseling? She said that the biggest issue with technologically wise is social media. It impacts all relationships because people are starting to check out of real life and are becoming disconnected. I think that as we utilize technology to become connected, we have become more disconnected. People are starting to avoid real life interaction, and most of my clients will text me if they need to cancel or reschedule. But if they must call me, they will forego letting me know and just not show up. I think this leads to a lot of social emotional issues. So that's the information that I found regarding the history and development of the field. And now I'm going to hand it over to Daniel with the professional organization membership and ethics.
Well, thank you, Shellen, for going through the history of the counseling profession. My name is Daniel Manzano. I'm going to be presenting on the professional organizations, membership, and ethics. So what is the role of a professional organization? Well, it's usually a nonprofit that consists of a body of persons engaged in the same profession, formed usually to control entry into the profession, maintain standards, and represent the body in discussion with other bodies. And the most recognized professional organization in the field of counseling is the American Counseling Association, also known as the ACA. And so the ACA fits into the definition of the previous side of what a professional organization is. And like Shellen said, it was founded in 1952 and is the world's largest association exclusively representing professional counselors. So here's a graphic from their website that talks about the top 5 reasons to join the ACA. And it's flexible learning options, counseling awareness and recognition, advocacy, having one powerful voice in state legislatures and also in Washington, D.C. They have unparalleled professional resources and members-only discounts and offers. In addition to these many benefits, another thing that they also have is they sponsor 20 divisions, and these divisions have professional development opportunities as well as they publish professional journals. They also have 56 branches that consist of state associations to support counselors throughout the United States. And they have the 4 regions, the North Atlantic region, the Western region, the Midwest region, and the Southern region. So again, professional development is offered in all these areas. And ACA is the most recognized, but there's many other professional organizations out there. American Art Therapy Association, American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, just to name a few. And of course, the state organizations. And for New Mexico, it's the New Mexico Counseling Association, and for Colorado, the Colorado Counseling Association. So each of these organizations has their own specialized benefits for the counselors. So why should a counselor join a professional organization? Well, there's membership, keeps you connected to all the other professionals. It organizes the profession into smaller groupings, such as mental health professionals or marriage family therapists, school counselors, etc. Counselors are in many fields. And obviously it offers lots of benefits throughout learning opportunities. So Melissa had the opportunity to sit down and interview Cecile Marcus, a licensed professional counselor, and she actually has memberships with 4 organizations: the Colorado Counseling Association, the Colorado Association for Infant Mental Health, Postpartum Support International, and the American School Counselors Association. She definitely recommends membership to a professional organization, as she benefited from discounted conference rates so she can network with her professional colleagues to continue to learn and earn her CCUs, which are necessary for licensureship renewal. They also list her on their websites for potential clients to find her. And just lastly, the ACA has a code of ethics that all professional counselors should adhere to. And it's important to safeguard the public interest and to have a common set of standards across the board. So as a professional counselor, we're going to have ethical dilemmas, and they're inevitable. For example, revealing information that you may have to report to authorities, the importance of confidentiality to make a safe space for your client, and then how to keep the client-counselor relationship as professional as possible. And real quick, here are the 6 main purposes of the Code of Ethics. Ethical obligations, identifies ethical considerations for us, clarifies ethical responsibilities for the members. It's designed to assist members construct a course of action, support the mission of the ACA, and it's a clearinghouse to process inquiries and ethic complaints against its members. So thank you so much, and I'm actually going to send it back to Melissa to wrap things up.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay. So I did the interview with Cecile Marquez, and I asked her some basic general questions like, what is the most difficult part of maintaining your license? She said that it was actually relatively easy. Belonging to the associations made finding her continuing education credits easy, kept her up to date on what was going on, and just made it much, much simpler. Next, I asked her, are there any new developments that you have experienced in your career that were beneficial, and why? She said she's already certified in CBT and DBT, but that she's very interested in EMDR. She has not been certified in it, but she would like to be as soon as the time. My final question was, have you had any trouble following any of the APA Code of Ethics, and if so, which one? She said the most difficult was the one surrounding social media, because she says some of her clients get offended when she won't engage them on social media. She's had problems because here in this small town that we live in, she's been friends with several on Facebook prior to getting her license, and then had to unfriend them when she got her license, and it upset quite a few of them. So she said that was the biggest struggle that she had, was just explaining to them why it was so important for her to follow that. In conclusion, we have covered, Tara Burns covered the educational requirements. Shalyn Pint covered the history. Daniel covered the association's memberships and ethics. And I just did some general information. I think that what we learned most of all is that there is a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but that it's not as difficult as we might have thought. Here's a list of our references that we used in this presentation. Thank you.